Guys, I have not done a video in quite some time. I think the last video I did was the video for the Dyson, but I have been down with a pancreas flare. Um, so I have this black and white filter on, which I absolutely love. It's my favorite black and white filter. Um, just blurs all of the imperfections. We all need that sometimes, but um, I love black and white, gray and white. Anyways, I would use it all the time. Um, I actually have two faith-based pages that are just gray and black and white, gray and white and black and white, just because I love it. I love that old school like feeling. But anyways, that's not the point of this video. Um, I have been down, and it has been very defeating. It's definitely tested me quite a bit. It's been 2.5 weeks, and at first it wasn't really that bad. The flare really wasn't terrible. Um, it um, it was like a normal flare, what I would consider as a normal flare, and but and I felt good, and I was going to interviews, and then I would get knocked down the next day, and it would be like 2 days or so, and then I would felt good again, and it would be like a day, and I was going to church, and I did notice that my pancreas was hurting a little bit when I was at church, especially because there's a lot of singing and all that kind of stuff and standing, but nothing that I couldn't handle. And then going to my women's group and stuff like that, it was okay. I knew I couldn't eat the food. I wasn't there yet, and it was a week from yesterday that I decided that I was going to try to up my food I was going to try up my food and add avocado, which I eat avocado all the time. And it just smacked me so hard. I haven't had a flare this strong since years and years. And I have been pretty much bedridden for the last, I was in the emergency room 2 days ago. And it was a horrible experience, the emergency room, because, see, the thing is I don't like going to the emergency room, and I don't like. Okay, guys, I have to continue these videos because I was doing a video and then my son called, so I was talking to him for a while. And so I probably won't be able to post this on the day that I'm actually doing it, just because I'm doing it and it's getting so late already, and I want to be able to go to church, and so I have to go to bed early. So I'm probably going to be doing this the day earlier than it actually is going to be posted. But to continue, I don't like going to the emergency room at all. And so it takes a lot to convince me, and usually family will convince me to go. They're like, okay, your symptoms, blah, 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 have been going on for so long. I've had extreme back pain with this flare. I've had extreme back pain. Feels like I got punched in my back. My back is broke. Obviously, it goes from my front underneath my ribs to my back. I know what a flare is. I have multiple different kinds. This is the hardest one I've had in years and years and years. And it's definitely a food flare. I can get stress flares. And those ones are very, I get very fatigued. And there's also flares where I just feel like my body's off. And I'll test high. My lipase levels will test high, and I'll know that I have a flare then. So I went to the emergency room, and I don't. I'm allergic to narcotics. So most narcotics I'm allergic to, and so I'm just not willing to try them, just because there's just such a list that they've tried to do pain management with my pancreatitis, and I either break out in a rash, or it's projectile vomiting, or just terrible with it. So I just prefer nothing. So they just do an ibuprofen, hospital strength drip, along with a Tylenol drip, and that usually will help. Nothing helps 100%. I'm not going to lie. But this time they were kind of convinced that I maybe had a kidney infection or kidney stones because of just the pain in my back. But the thing is with chronic illnesses is when you do go in and it takes a while for anybody. I have friends that actually have chronic illnesses. They just don't go in anymore because this is what my Twitter is like, my one Twitter is dedicated to. It's just like not being seen and heard while having a chronic illness. And that's the unfortunate thing. And so as soon as they find out that it's not like a kidney infection, they're like, oh, okay, it's just pancreatitis or chronic pancreatitis. There's nothing we can do. Because emergency rooms are there to stabilize, and then so this time I kind of just sat in the waiting room for hours and hours and hours and hours. And yes, I did get a CT. They need to stop throwing me through that machine, honestly. They need to stop giving me CTs. And I was talking to the CT technician, and I was letting him know, and he's like, listen, if they keep continuing to put you through the CT, radiation builds up. You know what I mean? You need to like advocate for yourself and get like ultrasounds and stuff like that. So I will have to do that from now on, because they do love throwing me through CT machines to check, for, if I'm having any issues or this or that. Or I also have pelvic congestive syndrome. So it's a pelvic disease. So it's like they check with that, and, they put me through CT way too much. And there's a certain limit, and he said that it builds up in your system, so that I need to advocate for just, getting ultrasounds and stuff like that, which was I really appreciate it, because it's like the first actual CT tech that would actually say something to me about it. And so I just went out there, and, there's a lot of people there. When I first originally got there, I got there pretty early. And so it was, obviously it wasn't planned. I just couldn't take the pain anymore. And there wasn't that many people there. They did whip me back pretty quick, and then back out, and then back in and back out. And then I just sat there just waiting and waiting and waiting. And it was just like, and I try to be as patient as I can, because I know there's codes going on, and there's people coming in that are just like super, so you just want to be as patient as can. But after 4.5 hours of like an IV sitting in my arm, just like my pain, just throbbing in my back, I just didn't understand what the heck was going on, So I did talk to them, to the front people, and they were like, oh, let's take your vitals again. And then they brought me in the back, and I thought, oh my gosh, okay, finally, I'm going to be able to get like an IV, which is, you get really dehydrated. Even though I'm on liquids and have been on just liquids for 2 weeks plus liquids. I haven't even gotten into soft foods because, yeah. Well, I tried to up it. It just didn't work. So now it's like kind of like a little bit of a fear to up it. And so I've lost weight, obviously. And that sucks. Because I've been watching like I was really in a good place of doing like so many miles a day working out. And this is just the way it is, though. This is God's plan. Unfortunately, this is God's plan. God already has a plan. God already knows. He's all-knowing, so he already knows everything. And so that's one thing that you need to understand when you're going through a really rough time. And that's where I get kind of like my peace from. Well, it's hard. I think that, and defeating. I also know that there's a purpose to this as well. There's a purpose to everything, because God, and like Satan tries to come in and like make you feel like a certain way, but it's not like that. God, Jesus, and God, they love, and so a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know why God allows this or allows that, etc. And it's like God already knows your whole life, like what's going to happen. He's all knowing. He knows like what relationships aren't going to work out, or why they aren't going to work out, and which ones are not good for you and why. And then it will be repeated. Like you won't learn the lesson. Like he'll tell you what it is, but you're not listening. And so you'll constantly go back to that relationship. and it'll get worse and worse and worse. And it's just because it's not the relationship that's meant to be for you, but you continue in it. And it's like little lessons like that you got to learn when you're in the Bible. You'll learn little lessons like that. And, just, I don't know. It's just, I guess I get a little bit of peace with that, but it doesn't make the pain any less. It doesn't make the pain any less. So, basically, I went into the back and they were discharging me. And I'm like, okay. Like, obviously, I was just like, I think anybody who has a chronic illness that's in so much pain, I mean, obviously, my lipid levels are high, but, when you have flares over and over again, the lipid levels like start going down and down and down. That's just what happens. I've been a part of a lot of support groups, but they can be very scary. A lot of really bad things can happen in your lifetime with chronic pancreatitis. And I've seen some really horrific stuff, especially when I first got diagnosed, and it was scary. And so I got off of them because I had anxiety. And so I just like these tears just were falling down my face. And I was just like, and she was like, and then the girl came over that was going to remove my IV, and she was like, said something like, and she's like, and I was like, yeah, no, I didn't even receive any kind of pain management. And she's all like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, that's crazy. Let me go talk to the doctor. And I was like, no, that's fine. Cause I had already been there at that point for like 5+ hours. I was so tired. I didn't get any sleep, I was like, I'm just going to go home and take some ibuprofen and all this kind of stuff. But I have complained before. I think that you have to advocate for yourself, especially having a chronic illness. It sucks. You don't want to be that person that has to do that, but it's like, you can't, like, sometimes I have some amazing doctors, don't get me wrong. And the thing is, my GI works there, so it's like, they know who he is. And so, I don't know if he was working that day or nothing, but it sucks. And they don't hospitalize for chronic pancreatitis as much as they did back in the day, which, I don't mind because no one wants to be hospitalized. I don't do well with that kind of situation. But, I mean, obviously, if I had to, it would be another thing. It's just still concerning because I'm still down. Like, that was days ago. I'm still down. I'm still taking ibuprofen. I'm trying to, like, take missed dosages. I was taking it every 4 hours. I'm not doing that now, but I took a dose already to go to bed, and because I want to be able to go to church tomorrow. And obviously I'm okay. I feel like I'm okay if I'm like laying down or really like still, but as soon as I start getting up, and I'm a very active person, so as soon as I get up and I start moving around, like the pain's right there. And so I already made a GI appointment for the end of this week, and that was really that was defeating because I was like, wow, I have to wait another week for an appointment. And so, and it's in a really inconvenient time, but I, either that or it's the end of October. So it's like, I don't know. So it's just been a really defeating time. It's a time that really is testing because I've been in the Bible. So it's really testing me. It's testing my like faith. It's testing like everything that comes with it. It's testing like, and there's been other things that have happened that are testing like everything, your faith. And like, I got like way too worked up because it's a PTSD trigger, and that happened. And, you're supposed to be slow to anger, and I was not. I just get so angry about this situation. It's just something I hate talking about in counseling. It's just, and I'm not the only one that has the actual issue. There's a couple of family members that actually do. And so it's really hard to deal with, and it's a sad situation, and it's one of my biggest prayers. And that's the saddest part about it, is it's one of my biggest prayers. And I won't go into details about it. I don't want to. I don't like talking about it in general. And I can, the thing is that we're not supposed to fight evil with evil. That's what we're not supposed to do. And so I was a little bit disappointed in myself, as in, like, I just felt like I got so angry so quick. I didn't not mean what I said, though. I just could have said it in a different way. Um, so it's been a week. And it's like, and then, obviously I went to some interviews and I did get the notifications that I didn't get the jobs. But I'm happy to be able to already have 3 interviews already. But it is, again, defeating to just keep going to the interviews. But you know what? I really didn't think I was going to get the jobs, because when I was there was like 50 people going for this same one position. I was like, holy mackerel. And this was the only one day. There was like multiple days of hiring. And so they said they guesstimated around 150 people going for one job. So it is a horrible time right now to be looking for a job or trying to get a job. While I still fight to get jobs and I do get interviews, it's just, I have to leave that in God's hands and just continue to do that work. And he knows what job's right for me. He knows what thing is right for me. And that's, I just need to be that, I need to be as best as I can to be the good God's daughter. And I'm not perfect at it at all. I'm going to make mistakes. And like the other day, and I'm going to be like, you know what, you shouldn't have said this, or you should have said this differently, and you shouldn't have maybe said nothing at all. And maybe you shouldn't have been so angry, or, but it's your trigger. But still, God wants us to be like this, because I'm in the Bible every single day. So it's like, but I'm human. And at the end of the day, all I can do is ask for forgiveness from him. And I forgive all those people. I do. I have to forgive all those people because God forgives me. So I have to forgive all those people, and I have to pray for them. That's all I can do. I can pray for them. I can pray that things change, that things in general, which I will never go into detail about that stuff. Because I don't want any of my platforms to be like that. Because I honestly just want goodness for everyone. Honestly, happiness and goodness. And while some things can be super triggering, at the end of the day, that's what I truly want, is just happiness, goodness, health. Like, unless you have something that's like super painful all the time, which, a lot of people do, I have tons of friends, family, whatever, but that doesn't mean we do certain things to, deal with it. We have to do it in the right way. But anyways, I don't want this to be a huge long thing. It's just like kind of an update thing on just my what chronic pancreatitis is actually like, dealing with the doctors. And I got appointments coming up this week, and I'm just hoping I'm going to make them, or I have to reschedule them again. They're kind of used to me rescheduling at this point. Just because I've had the flare for so long. This is a long flare. It's a very painful one. So, but it doesn't stop me. But you know what? I have to just have the faith. I just have the faith that God is going to like put the right people in front of me. I love my church. I love being in the Bible. I love being around like-minded women. I love the groups. I'm so excited about being baptized. Tomorrow there's supposed to be a different one I'm supposed to go to, but I'm not sure. It's not baptism, it's something else, a class that I wanted to go to, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it after church, just because I don't know how the pancreas is going to be, because it's usually about 75-minute long services, which, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love. It's just like when you have a flare, it's standing and that kind of stuff, and it just be very painful. So I don't know if I'll do that. They have them very often, so I don't know if I'm going to make tomorrow's or another one. I just want to sign up for everything. I like want to be super involved, and I'm like super happy with it, and it makes me feel like so happy. And then had somebody make me this little like Rottweiler for the bottom of my computer that I put on my faith-based TikTok and my faith-based, put on my social media basically accounts. And it just really was sweet, it just was to make me smile and feel better and stuff like that. Because I've been really down, as in like sick down, like not down as in depressed, just down as in like sick. I mean, I've had defeated like moments, and just like, why? Like, I don't understand. But I think there's a lot of part of it where I do understand why, because once you start getting into the Bible, Satan doesn't like that kind of stuff, and so here you are, here this is what happens. And I've seen it happen with multiple other people, And so, but it's not going to stop me. And so I'm hoping and praying that tomorrow morning I feel amazing, good enough at least to go to church, and I won't get mad at myself if I can't. I'll give myself grace. There's a live service, which I love about my church, and you can watch it live if you have to. And I'll just go from there, and then, hopefully be able to make it to my women's group and all this kind of stuff. And yeah. So anyways, I hope everyone has an amazing Saturday night. And I will see you guys in my next video. Sorry for all the rambling. Sorry for all over the place. And I'll be posting soon.